Hi, this is Maya from the Worldwide Good News, and I have Howard Martin with me, the Executive VP of HeartMath. HeartMath is this amazing institute that brings forward the information about the intelligence of the heart, but Howard's going to talk a little bit more about that. How are you doing, Howard?
Oh, I'm great. It's Monday morning. Feel good here in Northern California. Beautiful day.
Great, great. So tell us a little bit more about the HeartMath. I mean, I know a little bit about what you do, but it's an institute that actually has three parts, right?
Yeah, it's three organizations, a nonprofit, which is the Institute of HeartMath, responsible for scientific research and also the fields of education and the U.S. Military. We have two for-profit companies, HeartMath LLC, which is most of the major training that we do in Fortune 500 companies, healthcare institutions, those kind of things. We also develop and sell products, the M-Waves, which are heart rhythm monitors that we sell all around the world. And then we have Quantum Intech, which is technology development and technology licensing. So all of that makes up sort of the HeartMath universe. We've grown a lot, certainly in these 20 years. What HeartMath really is a system of techniques, methods, and the technology, all designed really to help empower people through these changing times that we're all living in.
Yeah, and this is really what really got me interested is that I've been following HeartMath for a few years now. I've been on your mailing list. And really, one of the researchers that I've heard of is really finding the heart's intelligence. That is, there's actually a connection between our hearts and our mind vis-a-vis intelligence, that there's not only the brain intelligence, but these are two organs that are actually working together for our consciousness and our well-being. So can you tell a little bit more about what the HeartMath has found about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, heart intelligence encompasses a lot of things in terms of the physical heart, the emotional heart, the spiritual heart even, which makes up this whole thing that we call heart intelligence. But at the physiological level, we know a lot of things now. We know that the heart does more than pump blood. It actually sends powerful commands to the brain and the rest of the body. It does it in 4 different ways. There's also evidence that the heart actually receives information, that it learns, that it remembers. These are all physiological things that we can measure that, that indicate that the heart is intelligent, right down to the biological level. But then we have the emotional heart, all the emotions that we really like the most, love, care, compassion, appreciation, those kind of things. And we know we're at our best when we're operating from those places. We make our better decisions. We relate to others. We relate to ourselves. We have a lot of insight into ourselves when we're in those emotional states. And so then you put all that together physiologically, emotionally, and then, the things that have been said for thousands of years about it spiritually. And what that shows us is that we have an intelligence that is high speed. It's intuitive. It can move us beyond chaos and confusion. It gives us a sense of self-security. It's the core of our, our real core power, our authentic self. And from that heart intelligence perspective, that's when we come up with the solutions to the problems that we have both personally and I also believe as a global society.
All these findings, how do you see them really, in your eyes, help with the involvement of mankind? Like, how will it help that information, especially for the skeptical people who only think, only think with their brains, and they say, oh, the heart is just an organ that just pumps blood. How do you see the importance of these findings? How do you see that helping our involvement?
Well, the first thing I would like to say is that heart and brain are not in competition. We're an integrated system. In intelligence today, as scientists know, it's distributed through the entire body, right on down to the cells. So all intelligence does not just reside in the brain alone. The brain is a master interpreter. It takes in information, it sorts it, it analyzes it, it puts meaning to it. But where does that information come from? And what kind of information is it? The heart really accesses, to me, a field of information that is beyond just the normal logical information that we get. The logical information is obviously very important. We need it for making decisions. But often we need sort of a wider understanding of things. We need to see a more comprehensive view into things in order to make those decisions. Taken down to real practical understanding is that the intelligence of the heart is high speed. It works faster than thought and faster than emotion. We're at a critical juncture right now in the history of our world, and one of the key factors in that is we have not learned how to regulate our emotions. Emotions are up and down and all around. They take us on this wild journey, and we have very little control over them. This is a problem, especially with so much information coming at us today and with the speed of change accelerating. The practical understanding of heart intelligence is it gives us a greater ability to regulate our emotions. It does not mean repress or suppress them. It means it gives us a greater ability to make good emotional choices, the ones that advance us, the one that present a more balanced view on things rather than simply the reactive emotions that we have. A lot of the HeartMath techniques are designed for that. They're emotional repatterning or emotional refocusing techniques that give us a greater ability to regulate these emotions. When we do, we go into a whole different type of intelligence. We can navigate change a lot more easily when we have that regulation in place, and we will make decisions that can lead us to some of the solutions that we need to solve the world's problems that we are faced with today, and they are daunting. I'm an optimist, and I think humans are resilient, and we will find ways to overcome the obstacles, but I think that learning to regulate emotions is a key within the context of that, and heart intelligence can give us that.
Oh, that's really, really, really powerful, because I think right now where we're still stuck is that we're still stuck in the brain time. We haven't learned to actually work that connection, as you're saying, like really actually learn how to work with our emotions. And I think right now emotions a lot of times are still in the psychologist level. They're not actually coming down to the heart, and actually people are not even aware that that is real, that is really happening. What are the different products that can actually help people start using it on a day-to-day basis, so that they actually can start regulating their emotions and actually, as you said, start on a smaller scale, making those balanced decisions that come between the heart and the mind?
Well, as I said earlier, that HeartMath is really a system, and there's methods in the system, there are techniques in the system, and the technology. And as the statement that I made was to help empower us through changing times. Well, empowerment would involve regulating emotion. So through the books and things we publish, through the training programs that we deliver, through the coaching and medical certifications we provide, and through the technology, we are really helping people learn how to do this. So we have techniques for specific things. You know, we have techniques for decision making, for project planning, for communication, for being able to maintain balance in the midst of daily activity. You know, we have lots of different ways we approach all this. And when you study the system, whether you do it through just buying a book or something, or whether you get involved in it and become, you know, a part of our coaching program or something, you learn these skills and then you apply them in your daily life. So just like anything else, there's no magic bullet here. It takes a little practice and a little understanding, and it takes sincere application to make the changes we need to make. What we have done, I think, is combine science with these understandings to give it a groundedness so people feel secure, and then give them simple, practical ways in which they can begin to learn these things and implement them. We recognized a long time ago, with the change happening so fast, no one had time for long, drawn out systems anymore. They had to be able to get things done more quickly because the speed of change was accelerating. We had to match that speed. So the techniques are really simple, but they're grounded in science. They are practical, and they're the kind of things we do in the midst of daily activity. They're interactive with the game of life itself. And those are the components that really make up HeartMath. Then, once we had science to understand all this, we wanted to be able to measure these changes, and we created the M-Wave technology. These are heart rhythm monitors that measure changes in our heart, you know, in the beat-to-beat changes in our heart rhythm. That reflects internal synchronization at the physiological level, but also our psychological state. And the devices, both computer-based and handheld, really train us to be able to synchronize emotions and physiology so that we enter a high-performance state called, I'm going to throw another term out now to all the listeners, coherence. Coherence is a highly ordered state where the body and the emotions are all working in synchronization. And we basically train people how to increase their coherence through the M-Wave technology. It's a really useful lifestyle enhancing technology that we developed. And it just adds another modern component to what we do as we take heart forward into the 21st century.
From the people that have used it, what is the feedback on, I would actually even ask on a bigger scale, not just the individuals, but have you seen groups or have you seen companies go into it, and what is the changes that they have with interacting with their own heart, interacting with their own environment, and then bring it back to the bigger, even bigger scale? How are you seeing this whole heart movement making a huge impact on Earth? It's a three-part question almost.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll try to get it all right. I think that, in the work that we actually do in organizations, for example, I mean, there are benefits that the organization wants. I mean, yeah, that we do it through a heart-centric approach. That's one thing, but what do they get for that? That's the real question. And we see things like improvements in health, which lowers healthcare costs for employers. We have a program we've done for years in healthcare institutions, primarily hospitals. It's designed really to reduce the amount of people leaving the profession, the turnover. And we do it not through changing pay scales or things like that or bosses. We do it through changing behavior, giving a person the skills they need to better deal with the stress associated with their job. And therefore, they have a higher job satisfaction and they don't leave. These are examples of specific benefits we provide. On a more global scale, I think that what we're doing is we're really providing a greater sense of community, a way in which people can come together in a different way where they do connect beyond some of the normal biases and judgments that we tend to have with one another. And within the context of that, cooperation can emerge. And it is through cooperation, I think, that we have to approach things now. We cannot do this through separative ambition and survival anymore. It's a time period in the history of our world where cooperation is going to be essential if we're going to make it through these times and ride these waves of change with more poise. So I think when people connect at the heart level, and that doesn't mean mushy, sentimental, sweet, and all that. It just means that they're coming at it from a more balanced place, secure within themselves for starters. Cooperation has a much better chance of emerging. So on the social side of what we do, cooperation, healthcare improvements, performance improvements, and everything from education to sports. All these are the things that we've seen, in our 20 years of work that we've been able to have a positive impact on. And so there are many organizations doing wonderful things in the world, and I think we're just one of them, but we're doing everything we can to make our contribution. And we do it in our own way with the skill sets that we have and the style in which we've developed it in a non-competitive way with all the other good things that are going on. The goal is that we find a way to create a new world that's certainly more fulfilling, and that we begin to take out some of these inequities that exist within the world today that are creating so many problems for so many people. Ultimately, for me, I'm just a little guy who says, look, I want people to have fulfillment in their life. I know it's there. I know it's available to people, and they just have to learn how to go get it. And it's happened for me, and I want it to happen for others. So my bottom line is pretty simple. Amidst all the sophistication of HeartMath these days, I'm still a guy that just wants people to be happy.
Oh, that's great. That's really a great message, and it's exactly bringing the bigger picture to the smaller picture. And I'm really happy you put in your own words, because I was going to ask you even a little bit more. How did you get into HeartMath? What is your own personal narrative in this bigger picture? If you can share just a few words.
Well, when I was young, I became interested in personal growth. I had a couple of, insights or realizations. One is I felt like what life was really about was continuous growth. That's what seemed to be going on around me everywhere I looked, especially in nature. Everything was growing and changing and adapting, and it was about continuous growth. I also realized that, like it or not, my life was going to have to be about service to others. And of course, it was great to have those insights, but I didn't know how to get that done. And I met Doc Childre, who's the man who founded HeartMath. He became a very good friend. He's now been my friend for 40 years and certainly a mentor to me. And he helped me understand some of the processes involved in all of this. And I've gone through all the ups and downs in life that most people have gone through, all the folks that are watching and listening to this today. And I've just learned to keep going back to that place inside, where that we generically call heart. And I've learned to explore that and to discover new things and then put it in my daily life. So my journey's been a long one, and it eventually led me to being one of the founders of HeartMath, to help Doc really found HeartMath. And I've just taken it step by step. A lot of great things have happened to me in the process of that, things that I'm very humbly appreciative of. Writing a book that was very, very successful, being able to be a speaker and have access to many of the great thinkers in the world. All those things are wonderful. But I always go back to the beginning and I say, well, why did you do this? And what does this mean? Well, it's still to me every day about how do I improve. It's continuous growth. It's about service to others, which is exactly why I'm on your show today. You provide a great platform for me, and I appreciate that. But why would I do this? It's really so that I can put something out to people that I hope inspires them that gives them a sense of hope in their own self-security about what they are and what they can really do. So it's a service process for me, and it's about me trying to be a better Howard Martin today, even 40 years later.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for that, Howard. That is exactly why Worldwide Good News is here to actually bring forward people like you to the world, and to increase the amount of information of the good news of what is really, how people are actually changing the world for the better. And last question would be, for the future of HeartMath, of the world, what is your hopes, and what is also on the ground level, what is HeartMath evolving into? What is your next big thing or your next big projects that you're planning to do?
Well, the businesses are always evolving and, getting more sophisticated and more new projects, et cetera. But the one part of HeartMath that I think sort of relates to the bigger picture, the one that really excites me, is the Global Coherence Initiative.
Yeah.
The Global Coherence Initiative is something we started in the context of our nonprofit. It's a membership organization, a free membership organization. It's bringing together many, many thousands of people from all around the world, over 87 countries now, joining in to use their heart focus, care, and intention to really affect the energetic field of consciousness and to affect change from that level. Now, we're HeartMath, so science gets involved. We developed a network, or are developing a network of highly sensitive devices that measure changes in the Earth's energetic fields. That means the geomagnetic field and the ionosphere. Our hypothesis is that mass human emotion has an impact on these fields. We know that the fields impact humans, and we know that sometimes those impacts coming from solar radiation and other things that impact these fields have effects that are not good. We think that through hard focus, care, and intention, coherent people operating coherently together, we can impact those fields in a way that can have positive influence. And we need to measure that. So the Global Coherence monitoring stations are being set up around the world. They're very expensive. It's taking time to roll it out. We have now 3 in place and a 4th and 5th soon. We have a sensor site in Northern California. We have one in Saudi Arabia. We have one in the United Kingdom. We'll have one in New York State soon, and then in the fall we'll have one in New Zealand. So ultimately we're building a ground-based system to look at these fields and to do very, very interesting advanced scientific research on the fields. Again, with the hypothesis is that human emotion, whether positive or negative, is impacting these fields, and that we are all relating energetically with the earth as part of our earth as a living system. And it will show connectivity between people and the earth and a lot of different things as this unfolds. That's the future. Is how do we know how to create individual coherence. We have a lot of understanding about how to create collective coherence as evidenced through our training programs and organizations. Where does it go next? Let's create global coherence, and let's find a way to measure it. So that's kind of where we're going today.
That is really amazing, and it's the best word to describe that is really cool.
Thank you. I think it's pretty cool myself.
It is. I'm one of those people who are really in the middle between the new age and the new edge. I'm somewhere in the definitely middle of I want to see some actual facts to these, and you're actually creating that system to actually show us that our emotion really affect our earth, so we can actually all become responsible and accountable for every thought, every idea, everything we do in our lives. And I think once we get that awareness, we can really shift things here.
That's right.
Yeah.
If this proves to be true, it will show that all of our thoughts, like you said, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our prayers, our meditations, our intentions, all those things are real. We believe it so strongly now, but wouldn't it be nice if we had some scientific proof that just put that groundedness right in it, that just gave it that solid, grounded understanding? It'll take a long time for us to prove this, but we're on it. And we have a lot of important people involved in the project, a lot of very famous people that are supporters. And one of them, the author Jack Canfield, said to me one day, he thought this was perhaps the greatest experiment in the history of the world, if you looked at the implications, if this hypothesis proves to be true. So this is groundbreaking. I like your term. You're between the new age and the, what did you say? The
New edge. Yeah.
New edge. Yeah, I like that. So this is definitely between those two. It's definitely advanced science, and it's got an edge to it, because where we're going with this is revolutionary in many ways. But back to practicality, it's still day to day. How do people manage themselves through these changing times? And that's our focus at HeartMath. We approach it from different angles. And the Global Coherence Initiative is one of the more sort of exciting and stimulating angles. But day to day, it's about how do we make changes that we need to make right in that moment? How do we communicate better? How do we manage our disappointments? How do we find ways to solve our problems? That's the most important thing right now.
That's great. That is really, really wonderful. And I'm very happy you exist. And that's such a great company. Has been around for over 20 years now. And I wish you all the best of luck to bring us that information and help us as humanity move forward.
Well, Maya, thank you for having a show like this, for taking your time to do this and to put this information out to others. I hope everybody who's been watching and listening today has found something that they can benefit from, something that gives them a sense of who they are and the power that they have within themselves, because that's the missing step right now. We all have to sort of step up to our next level, take self-responsibility for the things that we do and who we are, and then give that to others. If we all do that, or if enough people do that, we'll all be fine as we go through these changes.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's definitely words to live by. Thank you, Howard. Thank you so much for your time today.
Maya, thank you. You take care now. Bye-bye.
This was Maya from the Worldwide Goodness.